And 2 Samuel 6:9 said, David was now afraid of the Lord, and he asked, how can I even bring the ark of the Lord back into my care? So David decided not to move the ark of the Lord into the city of David. Instead, he took it to the house of Obed-Edom of Gath. And this is where the main character comes into the picture, in the person of Obed-Edom. Now let me bring to you an account in the Bible of a man who literally hosted the presence of God. Obed-Edom, the story of Obed-Edom is probably one of the greatest undiscovered stories in the Bible. At the beginning, Obed-Edom was a nobody. He was a nobody. Obed means slave. That's what people call him. His first name means slave. Edom means he is an Edomite. He comes from Edom. When the ark was brought to his home, Obed-Edom welcomed the ark. He welcomed the presence of God. He hosted the presence of God. For 3 months, Obed-Edom made a house for the glory of God. Obed-Edom majored in hosting the presence of God. The more the ark stayed in his house, the more he fell in love with the Lord. And Obed was a great host. He was great at hosting God's presence. For 3 months, he turned his affection towards God. He lavished God with his attention, with his worship, with gift offerings. The ark became the object of his worship. He was so conscious that God was in his home. He was so mindful of the presence and the power of God. He honored God. He took care of God's ark. And God must be so happy that he finally found a resting place, a dwelling place for his presence. And you know what the result was? Of hosting God's presence, the result was outstanding. This is what happened. 1 Chronicles 13:14 says, the ark of God remained with the family of Obed-Edom in his house for 3 months. And the Lord blessed his household.
Amen.
And everything he had.
Hallelujah.
Wow!
Amen.
Everything. This is the Obed-Edom's blessing. Everyone in Obed-Edom's household was blessed.
Thank you, Father.
Blessed. God gave Obed-Edom the prosperity of the land, the fertility of the land. Everybody in his household was blessed. Think about this. The cattle were blessed. His sheep grew fat. The trees in the field were bearing much fruit. The children got good grades in the synagogue. And the women got pregnant. The crops doubled in size. And for 3 months, the whole household was beaming with life.
Praise God.
God blessed everyone in Obed-Edom's house. Remember, Obed-Edom, before the ark of God came into his home, Obed-Edom was a slave. He was a slave. But everything turned around when he hosted God's presence. Would you want this to happen to you? Wow! And the key is hosting the presence of God. And you know, just like Obed-Edom, it doesn't matter who you are. It does not matter where you are from or what past do you have. When God comes into your house, you are going to be blessed.
Amen.
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 And the blessing that came from Obed-Edom, that came to Obed-Edom household was significant. It was sudden. It was evident. The community cannot help but notice. It was the breaking news of the town. No one can deny it because the manifestation was so evident. And then in 2 Samuel 6:12, We read, now it was told King David, saying, the Lord has blessed Obed-Edom and all that he has because of the ark. So word was brought back to King David that Obed-Edom was so blessed and he became rich. So imagine this. David said, what is it, soldier? And the soldier said, sir, King David, you remember Obed-Edom? Yeah, I remember him. He's getting richer. He's getting blessed. You mean Obed-Edom the slave? Yes, sir. He's rich. He's wealthy. He's blessed. And people were so amazed at the change in Obed-Edom's life. From a nobody, suddenly he became news material.
Praise God.
You can become a good success story when you have the presence of God. Hallelujah.
Amen.
And you know, the story said he had 8 sons, 62 descendants in all. The scripture says all of them were able and successful. God bless those who work. God bless those who host the presence of God.
Amen.
And all this blessing came not because Obed-Edom had a 40-day fasting, not because he had a religious rite, but because he hosted the presence of God.
Amen. Hallelujah.
Victories are won when we host the presence of
Yes.
God. A miraculous life begins in the presence of God.
Amen.
The supernatural happens when the presence of God resides in our lives. When we are at the epicenter of God's presence, we become wildly blessed. Hallelujah. And for Obed-Edom, the only thing he did was host the presence of God.
Amen.